Let's get started. So Accelerator, week number 2. We are on week 2 of Accelerator online program. Every day we want to start with soul breathing for 1 minute. So everybody know by now how to do soul breathing. And if you don't know, just breathe in through your forehead and breathe into your heart. So that's what we are going to do now. Breathe in through your forehead, into your heart, and then expand your peripheral vision all the way to the back. And breathe out through your forehead. Breathe in through your forehead all the way to your gut, to your stomach, and breathe out through your forehead. Breathe in to your heart, expand your peripheral vision, breathe out through your forehead. Breathe in to your gut, expand your lateral peripheral vision. See the sides, the cloud or or mist or milk spreading all the way to the back, and then breathe out through your forehead. One more time, one final time. Breathe in through your forehead, into your heart, and expand your peripheral vision, just like a mist going all the way behind you. And feel that. Feel your entire body. Feel every cell in your body, the sensation of excitement and passion in your body. And then breathe in, breathe out through your forehead. Awesome. Open your eyes and feel your center. And let's get started. So today is going to be a very fast day. I will try my best to talk slowly so that everybody can understand, but it's going to be really, really fast. So pay close attention, be fully here. This is going to be very engaging, very interesting, very deep stuff that's going to take your business to the next level. So renewal from the past. We talked about level 5 learning. Level 5 learning is you're learning in a soul level. When you learn in a soul level, you're able to take your business to the next level, your life to the next level. We talked about alignment. There is a Ferrari that has the perfect features, but if the wheels are not in alignment, it's not going to go forward. You become super adapter, which is the next thing. You don't want to be like polar bears. You want to be a super adapter. You want to adapt in advance so that you could take your business life to the next level. We talked about acclamation. In acclamation, what happens is you are actually elevating to the circumstance that you are in advance or as it is happening. Like adaptation is an advanced long-term form of acclamation to the change in climate, change in whatever is happening. You're immediately acclimating. And if you keep on doing acclamation for some time, then what happens is you're adapting and you become super adapter. And finally, we talked about Pareto's principle, which is like 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. But that's not it. 2000 times 2000x model, which is the first soul model that we talked about, you could have 2000 times return from certain actions that you're doing. We talked about the pentagon model of your brain. There are 5 levels of brain that you have. In head, you have 3 levels of brain. Then you have a heart brain and you have a gut brain. And on week 1, we talked about 20% of the things in business goes the way you plan. And rest of them are your biggest teachers, right? That's the soul model that is really important for you to feel in your heart. Right? Your self-alignment is the #1 key to creating the biggest impact in the world. Once you're aligned, then there is no difference between you and Gandhi. Because once you're aligned with your mission, then you are aligned. The biggest influencers in the world are the people who were totally aligned with their mission. Then soul model number 5, one of the biggest forces in human psychology is to be consistent with how they define themselves, their identity, their shadows, right? So if they have something that they believe that they are or they are not, then based on that, people behave differently. And whatever God you believe in, or if you don't believe in God, nature, universe, whatever you call the higher power, the plan for the higher power is for you is much far beyond your wildest dreams. We talked about alignment. Right? In alignment, we talked about we need to bring in all these brains together. Most of the time, these brains have their own plan, their own agenda, their own identities that are pulling us into 7 different directions. We talked about shadows, pushing the basketball deep down, and the further you push, it is going to push back the strongest. We talked about mind. It's a process that controls the flow of information and energy, and you are co-creating your mind. You're co-creating this process as we speak for the entire time that you are living in this planet. And we talk about the dog that understands only Indian accent, and I don't want to ignore him. I don't want him to feel like when he goes to therapy, I don't want him to feel that, Daddy didn't, give enough attention to me. That's why I'm going for therapy. Anyway, so we talked about alignment. Most of the time, this is where we start, right? And once you're aligned, this is the direction that you're going. That's when your Ferrari is going on 265 miles per hour. You are not going to hit, you're not going to miss, you're going to be in that direction, and you're going to feel that this is my speed. You're not going to feel like, oh, I need to slow down, right? You would be feeling, you're going at 260 miles per hour, and you'll be feeling okay. And that's alignment we were talking about, right? And then we talked about next level identity declaration, which is like, once you're in alignment, we created a identity declaration. If you haven't created, do it probably now or today. Like this is my name, and then define the 5 words that define you. Create the 5 words that define you and create a statement based on that. And then we did super shadow integration. And that I'm going to do it right now one more time. So think about the shadows that we have and think about the opposite. And if they are in this level of misalignment, so we talked about super shadows, the shadows that you see in the people that you hate the most, and your own shadows. If there is commonalities, those are super shadows, right? So let's say avoiding being insincere was your super shadow. What's the opposite? Sincere, right? So think about like 2 or 3 times that you were totally sincere, right? And you keep remembering that every day in the morning when you do power ceremonies that you probably would have started a week ago. If you haven't, you're going to start today or tomorrow morning, if it's night for you. And start seeing you as a sincere person. And the more you see, the more you will remember. The more you remember, this becomes part of who you are, right? So, and then you thank the shadows for what it did in the past, right? And we do it again and again and again until this becomes, right? Until this becomes your identity, yeah? Let's get into this thing. Like we talked about habits and power ceremony. So that's what we are going to open with. Anything that you do to align, acclimate, accelerate, and amplify yourself and your business to get prepared for the next 10 years. That's what a power ceremony is. Because we are caterpillars who never been a butterfly, when transition happens, we all get scared. We all get confused. That's why we need to do power ceremony right now. Like if there is any time that you need to be doing this, it's now. Right? So how do you do that? Design the first 30 minutes of your day to reflect your next 10 years of your life. So what you do in the first 15 to 60 minutes of your life, what do you do right now? I know some of the people who work with me privately, I hold your hand and helped you with that. So right now, we are not going to talk about it theoretically. We are going to spend some time creating it right now. So design your power ceremony. And share it with the Facebook group, or just create it, and that's it. I gave you an example from my side. Waking up at 5:30, half liter of water, supplements. I do my power moves. I'm going to talk about that today. I come back wherever I'm going to do this, and then make green smoothie. Otherwise, I take boiled egg and meditation for 10 minutes. Looks like I couldn't do the meditation today. So sometimes you miss, and that's okay. And phone on airplane mode until all of this is done, right? So right now, create your power ceremony for the first 30 minutes of your life, of your day, like right now, right? If you already have one, how can you make it even better? Can you include an identity declaration on it? What is an identity declaration? I am the Ruble Chandy of love, joy, and passion. That is a declaration. So you could say that. So this way your entire body will get aligned with that part of you. Okay. So plan the granular details if needed. All right. So now, instead of talking, I'm going to shut up. You're going to spend 5 minutes creating or optimizing the first 30 minutes of your day. Starting now. Think about it. The first thing, there are things that you shouldn't be doing. Like, don't check your WhatsApp, your text message, or whatever other things that you check. The Skype, the Facebook. So maybe that is a not to do thing. But as soon as you wake up, what are you going to do? In my case, I drink. So I'll go back to my list, if that helps you. As soon as I wake up, brush my teeth, and then I drink half liter of water. You could even write, brushing your teeth in this if you want, but write down in details. And I know some of you already have some sort of power ceremony or some sort of meditation practices. In that case, how can you improve this? And any questions that you have, feel free to ask me. Right now we are doing it right now. Enough talk from my side. Do it now. All right, we have 3 more minutes, guys. 3 more minutes. So design the 30 minutes of your life. Understand that this 30 minutes is going to decide who you are going to be 10 years from now. It's that important. And if you're checking your WhatsApp, your Facebook at that 30 minutes, that's who you are going to become 10 years from now. Design the first 30 minutes of your life. And this is when you start designing your destiny. You might be stuck at home right now. Or maybe when you're listening to this crisis could be over and you could go outside. If you're stuck at home, you could do push-ups or something, yoga or something else, something to activate your body, something to activate your mind, and something to activate your soul. Two more minutes. Awesome. So next 21 days, this is the first habit that we are building. And you know what we are going to do? Every week we are going to come back and visit this and improve this. Improve, like make it like 2% better. Like next week we are going to come and make it 2% to 5% better. The week after we'll make it slightly more better. That's what we are doing right now. Awesome. Anybody who is not able to do power ceremony, talk with me privately, because we all are busy. Like, my day ended at like 2 a.m. last night, right? So I had to catch up on so many things. And people who work with me, they already know that, I had like some of the phenomenal, most productive days of my life right now. So the point is, there's no story, there's no excuse. I would not make any excuse, and you wouldn't make any excuse too. We would find an excuse to do this, right? Awesome. These are 3 shocking things that is in front of our face. 1, our body is a canvas of your identity and your shadows. So imagine there is a canvas. Imagine you are, Van Gogh. You are the most amazing, painter in the world. But you are like too lazy to paint, and your shadows and your identities are painting, painting for you. So your body is a canvas of your shadows. And I'm going to explain that a little bit deeper, much deeper. Our values are in dynamic tension with each other, just like the light and darkness. Again, this is the mental side of it. Our values are in a dynamic tension, and I'm going to explain that too in a second. The stories that we tell ourselves and others are either enslaving us or freeing us. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Once you are able to identify and overcome these things, then you are freed up to a completely different level. right? So if you don't become the artist of your life, artist of your own painting of life, then your shadows will do it for you. You're outsourcing it to your shadows to design your life. And if you have a level 5 understanding on how to master this canvas, the body and the artwork, the mind, the body is the canvas, the artwork itself is the mind, then you can design your destiny. Let me say this again. You can design your destiny. That is exactly what we're going to do today. So once you become the co-creator and the curator of your artwork, your business becomes very easy. You'll be free to grow 100 to 400% in less than 12 months. And some of you guys are already experiencing this working with me, going through the accelerator program, live events or private sessions or whatever you have done in the past. And the rest of you are going to experience this too, starting last week and continuing with this week. So your customers are looking for an authentic person or a company that they can trust. And once you are aligned, you become your own brand ambassador. And what you co-manifest becomes the true reality. Because what you start to see from that moment, you are the co-creator. Because once you are aligned, you are completely in alignment with the universe, with God. Then whatever you see, whatever you say, that becomes. People talk about law of attraction. This is the law of attraction. Once you are in alignment, you are the law of attraction. You are the manifestor. You are the co-manifestor because you are co-creating with universe at the time. Remember, no one can stop a person who's aligned. No one can stop a person who's aligned. Let's look at what Gandhi said. Your beliefs becomes your thoughts, become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits, your values. Your values, your destiny. I think Gandhi could have simplified the sentences a little bit, but you know what? He was speaking Hindi. So somebody translated here, but you got the idea, right? So it's beautiful, right? So your beliefs become your thoughts and your values become your destiny. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And in this topic, there are 3 soul models that I want to cover. There are 3 soul models that are relevant to what we are going to talk this week. Soul model number 7. Your body is the canvas and your mind is the artwork of your identity and your shadows. Process this for a second. Your body is the canvas. And at this time, those who are not familiar with my work, you might be feeling like, body? What's a big deal with the body? But your body is the canvas and your mind is the artwork of your identity and your shadows. Even if you don't understand that fully, allow that to feel that. Allow yourself to feel this. Imagine that your body is the canvas and your mind is the artwork of your identity and your shadows. And I'm going to go deep into this. What you value deep decides what you remember or forget. It sounds like a common, simple understanding, but what you value deep decides what you remember or forget. What you remember decides your destiny. What you remember decides your destiny. And soul model number 9 is, which is from collectively, we are on the 9th soul model. Your past stories are irrational and accurate representation of your future. Past stories of trauma, past stories of victory, past stories of nothingness, everything in between. Those are irrational stories, but they are very accurate representation of your future. Imagine your life right now. This is a painting by Van Gogh, and Van Gogh happened to be one of the most creative, colorful artists in this century. Imagine the left side of your life. Left side of your life, it's already painted. The right side is blank, right? So if you look at it, this is the original painting. But right now, you are in your 30s, you are in your 40s, you are in your 50s, you are in your 60s, 70s, whatever age you are in, or 90s. And if you're in your 90s, you're listening to me, I really commend you and respect you for that. And look at that. What you do in the first 30 minutes and what you do right now, the assignments that you do here, the actions that you take today and for the next 90 days, next 81 days, it's going to decide what is going to be on the other side of your painting. right? So remember I told you your body is the canvas. So you would see the canvas on the background, right? The black color is the background. And through the accelerator program, you're going to fill that painting, and you're going to be enough of a leader so that you could paint the rest of the life the way you want to be painted. Okay, so let me dive into the concept of what do I mean by your body is the canvas of your identity and your shadows. So how do you describe a depressed person? Like, how do you describe a depressed person? Is that person having an expanded body? Is that person like looking up or down? Is that person like, vivacious, excited, happy, talking loud? Is that person, or is that person like, talking shallow and scared, looking down and, closed and fearful and scared and timid? And is the person shoulder up or down? The reality is, wherever we go and do this event, and whenever I ask people, depressed people, a person who's depressed, globally, unconsciously, is sheltering into a smaller body. It's trying to get into a smaller body. It almost feels like this. Imagine this baby when it was in the womb. Like this is how it was. It was trying to crawl into a finite space so that it feels protected. In some deeper unconscious level, that's what we're doing. When somebody rejects us, we are saying, oh my gosh, can I go to my mama's bed, which is the womb, and stay there? We kind of shelter into this finite, tiny space where you feel protected. But whenever we feel like total ecstasy, total happiness, we expand our body. Like this is Usain Bolt, who's the fastest man on the planet right now. He's expanding his body. This is right after he's winning. This is what he does all the time. And he has what I call as an anchor. And we will talk more about anchor in the future. This is his anchor. Every anchor as an ANCHOR. He's anchoring the ship of his victory in using this physiology. So he's using his physiology as a tool to anchor the 100-meter race. So next time, it becomes easier and easier and easier for him because his body understands the language of victory. And again, we'll get deep into it. And right now, you might still be thinking about it. And now, this is Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers in the world, right? As of right now, right? So look at that. There is an element of sadness and confusion in the emotion. You might feel like it might be sad, but that's how humans are. Like we are so confused. Like there is an element of sad, happy emotion. Like he's so excited. This is a place where we cry because of excitement. Like that's how we expand our body every time we win. Serena Williams, right? See that, absorb that emotion. When was the last time you felt like this? Or like this? Or like this? This is your soccer team after winning the world women's soccer championship. Right? So when was the last time you felt this open in your body? Right? So the more open you are in your body, the more deeper you will experience. So in order for you to feel that way, this canvas is teaching you, like this shadow or the identity, the conditioning, the culture, the religion, and I'm not against any of this. I'm for all of this. And all this conditioning, all this culture and all this tradition and the separation of countries and all, I'm not for separations of countries, but all of the culture, all the beliefs that we have, it is pointing us to feeling us in a certain way in our body, like using our body in a certain way. Culturally, people use body in a certain way. So we want to break out of that, right? So if there is a child, and he sees some sort of a mud puddle, and then he'll be like, run, he will run above that or jump above that, right? But if we see something like let's say fishes in the road or something, you'll be like swearing and doing all kind of stuff. Like we will just mad and we go around it. because we don't want to deal with that. We don't want to be, we're not children anymore. We need to come back to being childlike while being responsible, adults. Let me give you another example. Imagine you're seeing a train, right? You're like 3 years old and 4 years old or 5, between 3 and 5. And then you start seeing this train and you are driving with your dad, your mom, and all of a sudden there is this sound of the train. It's like choo, choo choo. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, there is a train. And you're so excited. And you're so happy and you're so thrilled. There's a train, I get to see the train. And nobody is telling these kids that they should like train, but they still like it. They still love it. And they listen to that sound and they, Daddy, can you stop here? And can I see this train? And then experience the sound and the movement and the shaking and everything else. 10 years later, when you're 15, when you're 17, you see a train, what do you say? You see a train when you're driving to college, school, or right now, maybe when you're 30, 40, 50, or 70, you're going somewhere and you see this train. And most people are like, another effing train. Now I need to wait for that. I'm already going to be late for my appointment. And this is what I'm getting today. Oh my gosh, the very train that was exciting for you becomes the biggest burden. And it became, the fun train become another F-word train. That is what is happening, right? So that's why we need to release from this body that we created. And we cannot transport out of our body. That's why we designed something called a power move. So there are two elements of power move that I'm going to teach today. And the first element of power move, I'm going to demonstrate that for each of you. And those who are listening online, I'm going to do it as a video so you could actually see how I'm doing this power move. So, and then I would like you to create a custom power move for you. So one way of power move is people who are really depressed, they don't feel their center anymore. So imagine people who are depressed, essentially they're trying to crawl their body like this, like they are sitting in the womb, right? The more relaxed you are, the more open your body is, right? And this is what Usain Bolt was doing, something like this, right? All of a sudden he's expanding his body to a completely different level. So you open your chest, immediately you start to feel that sensation. But let's do the feminine side of it and the masculine side of it. And the feminine side is the part that is not being taught as much. You could do both, or independently you will get results. I do both, okay? So let's talk about the feminine side of it. So imagine, this is very easy, okay? So imagine you expand your hands to the sides and in heart level, if you would, and then imagine a loving experience that you had in your life, right? And bring that experience closer and closer. You don't need to do it right now, but you could do it in your heart, mind if you want. You felt totally loved, and you bring it closer and closer and closer. And as you bring closer, feel that deeper and deeper in your body and drop it into your heart. Yeah, that's it. Our play is with this heart and the gut, okay? So you will realize that most of my work is around this heart and gut. And if you study deep, you will understand why it is too. So imagine another experience where you felt totally loved, okay? And drop it into your gut. Imagine another experience where you felt totally loved and drop it into your gut. That's a simple power move, right? It's a feminine side of the power move. And just because it's feminine, men can do it. The masculine side, women can do it too. If you do it together, if you do both, then it's going to be even more powerful. Okay, the next one is, this is where we feel rejection, actually. Right? So this is where actually we feel failure. This is where you feel rejection, because heart, rejection, right? I don't want to be rejected. This is where we feel failure. That's why we think about a simple thing. Like if you finish your 10th grade, or if you finish your kindergarten, if you are studying in first grade right now, you're still successful. Like if the tiniest, the smallest thing in your life, in gut level, see that victory and drop that into your gut. Right? That's what you do. Okay, drop that into your gut. Take one more experience where you felt total victory. Maybe your dad loving you, mom loving you, or you're having a friend, or you're having a good day, or if you're having some small victory, right? drop it into your gut. Okay, one more time. Take another experience and drop it in your gut. That's it. And we're going to do it together. So if you guys stand up right now, and those who are not in video, do the same thing. So I'm going to go to gallery view so I could see each of you. Okay. So now all you do is think about an experience where you felt totally loved, and where you felt totally loved. So if you feel like this is, we are doing it in a room where there are other people, go to a private room and do it there, right? So expand your body, and hold your hand like this, and think about an experience where you felt totally loved. And if you didn't feel totally loud until now, it's fine, somewhat loud, right? So it doesn't have to be totally loud, right? And get that experience and gradually bring that experience closer. And as you bring it closer and closer, feel the intensity of love deeper and deeper, and deeper and deeper. And as you drop this experience in your heart, let the heart vibrate with excitement, and drop it into your heart. And your heart feel like, whew, all of a sudden it feels like it frees up itself, right? Now one more time, take another experience, bring it closer and closer and closer, feel deeper and deeper and deeper, and drop it. As you drop it, experience that love in a much deeper way, and drop it in your heart. Think about another experience where you felt totally loved, somewhat loved, moderately loved, but loved by your dog, by your cat, by your pet, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your dad and your mom. It could be anybody or anyone. And feel the love. Bring it closer and closer and closer. As you bring it closer and closer and closer, feel deeper and deeper and deeper in your heart. And as you drop it, allow yourself to feel this total love and drop it into your gut, into your heart. And finally, collect all these three experiences together in your imagination. So there is one experience, two experiences, three experiences. Collect all of them together, and package them into one experience. So the first and the second and the third, or you can hold one experience in one hand, another experience in another palm, and the third experience, you can imagine it's coming towards you, and bring that experience closer and closer. See it larger than life, see it like bright and smiles and the beauty and the excitement and the thrill of being loved, being appreciated, being totally feeling like sufficient. See the smile, see the people, see the colors larger than life, see it in like giant screen, and see that and experience it. And as you drop it into your heart, feel that it's creating a sensation of deep vibration and excitement and love that is spreading into your heart and going into this entire world, because you're transformed into a love machine. Right? So that's what you do with the heart. Now let's switch into your gut. Think about a time that you felt a victory. Like, so again, this is in gut level. You're doing, your hand is on the gut level. And then what you do is think about a victory that you had, whether it is business. Try to get one business, because this is a business course. So a business victory that you had, like you made money or you created an impact, you did something unique that created an impact and that made you money. Bring that experience closer and closer. You're making this experience worthwhile and you're making money. You're impacting somebody, you're adding value to somebody, and then experience that and drop that into your gut right now. Okay. Take another experience where you are really successful. It doesn't have to be business. It could be anything, right? And if you're just starting out in business, find another experience where you did something in your job, in something that you did amazing, and somebody appreciated you for that, or you felt like appreciating yourself, and then bring that experience closer and closer into your gut and drop it into your gut. And one final experience, which is another experience where you felt you were successful, and then bring that experience that you felt totally successful, bring that closer and closer and closer, and drop it into your gut. And at this point, your heart and your gut now your heart and your gut is going to start to feel like deeper sensations, right? You start to feel like so much relaxed and calm and centered, and that you feel like you belong here. You feel like you are here to, conquer with love, conquer with leadership, right? So now what you do is you combine it with the soul breathing, right? So breathe in through your forehead, into your heart, expand your lateral vision, and breathe out through your forehead. Now breathe in through your forehead into your gut. Expand peripherally. And breathe out through your forehead. And one final time, breathe in through your forehead into your heart. Expand peripherally. You can close your eyes, keep your eyes open, whatever you want to do. Go all the way back and breathe out through your forehead. And that's how you do it. It takes like 2 or 3 minutes, guys. So that is Power Ceremony 1, the female version. Yeah? Could you type on chat like you got it? You know how to do this? And sometimes you might be in a place where you might not be able to do it, but you got it? Yeah? Let's talk about the masculine side of it. So the masculine side of it, and I believe that we are all masculine and feminine. So I'm going to stand up for this one too. You guys can sit down. And the feminine side of it, you got it? Got it? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the feminine side of it, we all are masculine and feminine, right? So, if you guys are not familiar, there is a concept in Hinduism called Shiva and Shakti. So Shiva is the masculine energy and Shakti is the feminine energy. And when it is in merge, that's when the universe is dancing in its highest peak, right? So it's, so anything that is masculine can be used by feminine. Anything that is used in feminine can be used in masculine side as well. You guys hear me clearly? Because I'm a little bit away from the mic. So I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Yeah? Okay, good. Also, so the masculine side is simple, right? So you could, at this point in my life, I could actually feel energy in my hands. Like when I do this, I could actually feel that. So there are so many power moves that I do. So one of the power moves that I do is I could show you 2 or 3 options, but I would like you to design one power move for you after this. So females, you don't necessarily need to do this one, but I could give you different options. This is one I do, like I do this and I do a move like this. So, okay, so this immediately changed my conditioning. Immediately it changes my conditioning because my tendency is to go back to my mother's womb, Ansie's womb. My mom's name is Ansie. To go back to Miss Ansie's womb and stay there like this. So, because when things are scary, when coronavirus hits and everything else happens, the uncertainty, my tendency is to go there. So what I do is I expand my body and do this. And you might be feeling that energy right now as I'm doing this. And it's so natural for me. My body is like so aligned to it. Yeah, that's one way. And I know females, you might not be able to do that. Another way I do is, another power move that I have is this, like, right? So anybody can do this, right? Yes. And you could say yes to it. Yeah, yes. So what happens is there's a tiny dynamics to this. You don't do it like this, right? You're expanding your body backwards. The more stressed you are, the more leaning. The older you are, you're actually starting to lean more, right? That's a general idea, right? So you want to expand your body as you do this, right? Yes, right? Yes. And immediately you start to feel a sensation in your body. That's another one. Another one that I do is, I do a lot of power moves. So yeah, from a gut level, I do this. Yeah, so this is another one that I do. This is my master power move, which is, so that's a package, like it does a lot of things, but I will talk to you about that later. But immediately my body dynamics changed. And I was thinking about whether to talk about this in a Zoom setting, in an online setting, but you know what? This is a really powerful thing that gives a lot of lot of impact in people's life immediately, because your body is a canvas of your shadow. So this is how, like, people go to like seminars and other stuff, they start moving their body, they start to get results, at least temporarily. Why? Because these power moves, get you out of the pattern of your shadows, the conditioning of your shadows. That's why it works for some time. But most of the time, the shadows are not handled. And because the shadows are not handled, what happens is it goes back, and the shadow will learn more and more personal development, and shadows will figure out a way so you don't feel anything when you move the body. So who is excited about testing this with me right now? Yeah. Who can come on video, and some of you who attended my live event, do you have somebody with you, Abhay? No? Good. So you're going to stand up. Okay, everybody stand up. Okay, good, sounds good. Shih Tzu. Okay, so so now the masculine version of it, it's going to be even more powerful, because if you need power, this is where the power is going to come from. Okay, there are two types of stories in life: curse stories and blessing stories. And I'm going to talk about that to get deeper into it. For example, I went through like really terrible, challenging situations in my life. But when I look into that, I only see blessings. When I look into, and fortunately, because of where I was born, and because of the gift that my parents were with me, I had amazing life. I had an amazing childhood. In spite of the fact that we had challenges financially, I had the most amazing dad and most amazing mom. So I'm eternally grateful for that. And I know how challenging it is for people to have their base challenge, because they didn't have like proper support from their parents, especially in the Western world. So I respect that, and I commend you for stepping up and taking ownership and leading your society, leading your world by becoming a leader right now through this program and for the rest of your life. So I respect you for that. But no matter what happened in your life, the interpretation of what you have about those stories are the only thing that matters. So your parents like did something, or something happened in your childhood, or something really challenging happened. You create it as a curse story, then it becomes a curse for the rest of your life. And it might be like, okay, I'm not doing it. It happened automatically. I understand. It happened automatically. I'm going to cover that. So today, if you have a curse story about your childhood, about something that happened, about why you are not able to grow your business, why you are not able to succeed in life, why you are not able to be in good relationship with people, if you have a curse story, it's time. Today is a time to change that story into a blessing story. What's a blessing story? It's not about the actual incident of what happened. It's about how you interpret this story. Like, imagine like, a 14-year-old, like, fasting for 50 days. 50 days, not like the way Jesus did. I was eating like once a day, and probably for 100 days or more, and then losing half of his weight and going through the extreme challenges that I had to go through. Wearing, in my case, wearing, in order for me to control my body or support my body, I used to wear, bougainville with like long, thorns in my body, so I don't feel, to support whatever mission that we are doing right now, at the time, supporting the mission of salvation, and, standing on broken glasses with blood all over my body. It's traumatic. It is really traumatic. And I was ashamed to share about those things up until right now, until I realized that people need to hear this, because the more weird I am in sharing about my life, then you would understand the human side of me, the authentic side of me. That's why I'm sharing this. And today I'm nobody like that. Like today I'm completely different person. But that was a traumatic experience. But my interpretation is a blessing interpretation. This is why I'm able to deeply connect with people. This is why I'm able to see extreme person and still love them. This is why I'm able to forgive the person who basically, in some level, almost tried to completely destroy my career. Right? So that level of depth comes from converting the story, whatever stories that you have in your life, into a blessing story. So let's talk about how these stories are developed. You have an experience. Look towards the top, right? You feel you have a meaning. Oh, that means something good. And you have an emotion associated with that. And okay, that emotion, okay. And then there is a context to it. And then it becomes a blessing story. Experiences in life are not good or bad. Like somebody, if you bring in, like zoom out of this planet and the solar system and Milky Way and zoom out and look at whatever happened to you, there's no emotion to that. There's no good or bad. It's just arbitrary. It's like relative, right? And I know because of whatever happened, because we feel fearful, because we feel like we are not good enough, because we feel like we are rejected, we associate trauma to that. And when we do, the meaning changes the shape into something else. The emotion changes the shape into something else. And a new context is created and it becomes a curse story. How many of you can relate with what I'm saying? Can you relate with what I'm saying? Okay, beautiful. So this is how a curse story is created. So the experience is neutral. As you could see, it's just a simple circle. It could either become a triangle or it become a special shape like this. When you are in blessings, when you have a blessing story, just like the color indicates the purple, you are in your highest level of consciousness too. If you are in your curse story, then you will not be able to move. This curse story is keeping you where you are all the time. Remember the story I said about Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, two teenagers, right? Crazy. I mean, basically Steve Jobs was abandoned by his mom and given for adoption, and he was adopted by this parent, and he was like walking around like 16, 17, 14 with Steve Wozniak doing stuff. And then they were curious about something. And all of a sudden they heard that there is this thing that they could do to manipulate phones so that they could call anybody internationally. At the time, it was a big deal. And they figured out a way to create something called Blue Box that they used to call call Vatican and call the cardinals and finally the Pope, as in His Highness the Pope of Catholic Church. And then they learned a story. What was the story that they learned? They learned that with my tiny blue box that I created, I could control $1 billion company. And then Steve Jobs says, if there was no blue box, there would not have been an apple. Listen to this again. If there was no blue box, there would not have been an apple. So this blessing story changed his life. This blessing story gave him the mental model, the soul model to create Apple. It's not my words, his words. So what does that mean? Anything that happened. So that's a neutral story. That's not a painful story. So when Ivy came to me, I shared Ivy's story. She went to Jamaica and she was somewhere and she was raped by 4 men who robbed her house. And she was thinking her stepmom did this and this is what happened. And then she was so scared and so much painful. And there's no blessing in that. It's really challenging. But she turned that story into something that gives her courage, something that gives her a lot of experience, something that relieves her and frees her to help other women who went through similar experiences. Then that becomes a blessing story. And she changed that. That's why she was able to grow and build $1 million company in a very, very short time. Does that make sense? So our job, if we have a curse story, our job is to convert that curse story into a blessing story right now. Right? So think about it. How can you do that? And I'm going to explain that step by step. And this is based on the most advanced work on neurology and psychology. And Dr. Daniel Siegel has a book called Developing Mind. There are so much of advancement in studies on neuroscience and mental health, and then you could study a lot of them. But the point is that I have been doing this Daniel Siegel wrote his book, I don't know, in 2016 or something. I was doing this on 2010 and 11. I had no idea like how it worked. I didn't know the science. I studied the science later. So you guys can go and study the science all you want. At the same time, when this happens, when you change from curse story to blessing story, your life changes to a completely different level. So how do you change that? So take a curse story, put a new meaning to it. Find a new meaning. So if there is a curse story in your life, find a new meaning. What else could this mean? This homeless person, I have to beg to a homeless person. I had to take money from this homeless person. What a disgusting, what a challenging, what a horrible experience that was. How intimidating it was. It took me like 20 years to tell that to other people. I was like too embarrassed to tell that. Like, what a horrible life is that? Things like this happen to people. I mean, is it going to shame like my family, other people who hear about this? Are they going to feel bad about it? That was my meaning. But I changed it. The changed meaning to say, this person was coaching me, actually. This person was showing me possibility. This was a messenger of God telling me, you know what? There is hope. Because this person who has no money, no resources, no house, nothing, he's able to give me $50 or everything that he had. If that's the case, I could figure out a way to be resourceful. Find a new meaning. When you change the meaning, then you could change the emotion. If you're feeling like agony, depression, or anxiety, or loneliness, or whatever negative emotions that you're feeling, you could change that to a new emotion. And when you have a new meaning and new emotion, you could change it to a new context. Remember, 2000X soul model. Remember on the first welcome webinar, I was talking about it. Out of the thousands of things that happen in your life, there is one story that could be limiting your potential the most. There could be one story that is limiting your potential the most. Find that story and change that right now. So spend 5 minutes right now. Find the curse stories in your life and find top 3 if you have like more than one. But if not, just find one curse story that is like limiting you the most and convert that into blessing stories in the way so that it liberates you. This is a process that you're going to do. So it's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. Roy Disney, this is the brother of Walt Disney. So there are 2 types of values. There are soul values. So soul values basically are values that we are moving towards. And so the spiral represents the value that you want to be moving towards. And there is a yellow thing, there is a target there. And we are going to talk about the target. That target is the recipe. There is a certain recipe that you use for moving into that space, right? So these are values that you want to move towards. Let's say, let me show you a few values. For example, values are the emotions that you want to feel. No matter what people say, whether they say they want car, they want, they want romance, they want love, they want sex, or they want anything that they want, ultimately it goes down to a value that they are looking for. We as human species, because of our cultural conditioning, because of our parenting and the places that we are from, the religious and all kind of information that we have gathered, there are different ways by which we value things. For some people, adventure is a big thing. For some people, success is a big thing. For some people, relationship is a big thing. Some people, love is a big thing. And security is a big thing for another person. And you might be thinking, oh, these are all important for me. Yes, that's true. But what is the most important thing? That's the thing. What is most important for me? Is adventure the most important or success most important? Is relationship the most important? Like, for example, it's 9 right now, while we are recording this live, right now in India, right now it's 11 p.m., right? Almost 11 p.m. And if you're listening to this training right now, then probably success is more important than relationship for you. Does that make sense? And then probably you're going to fight with your wife and you're going to blame me for it and change that story into a blessing story. I'm not responsible for that. Anyway, that's my joke. Okay, so I make sure that I include at least one joke per thing so that people think that I'm funny, that this is the shadow that I'm working on. Anyway, so, but think about it, like what is really most important for you guys? For you, what is the most important thing that you value? And if you think that your car is the most valuable thing, when I ask people like money is the most important thing, right? Money is not really most important for you. What does money give you? Oh, money give you significance. Money give you pride. Money give you freedom. Oh yeah, now that is an end value. Car, family, big house, those are, those are not end values. They are means values. Like those are means to get to an end value. So the end value could be adventure, success, relationship, love, security, or it doesn't have to be this. I'm just giving you an example. It could be anything that you want to have in your life. And how do you find out your soul values? By asking a simple question. It's very easy. It's so obvious in front of us, but people don't pay attention to this. What is most important in blank? For example, if you want to find out what is your highest level value in life, just ask the question, what is most important for me in life? What is most important for me in life? If you want to find what is most important in business, ask the question, what is most important in business? This is your primary value. And you might have a list of things that is showing you, oh, money is important, marketing is important, or in life, success is important, adventure is important. Then in that case, order them. What is like if you have like three or five of them, order them. What is like from these 5 things, if I were to get only one of them, what would that be? That would be your primary soul value. Does that make sense? That is your primary soul value that you're looking for. In business, if you were to get only one thing, would you go for money or would you go for impact? And that decides what you're going to do. If it's only money, then you're going to focus on making money. If it's only impact, then you're going to focus about impact. I'm not saying that you cannot have both, but what I'm saying is, it's your value. You need to be in congruence with your value. If that's what you want, you need to work in congruence with that. Let's talk about the other side of it, the shadow values, right? So shadow values look like that. These are the values that we are trying to move away from. Right? For example, if I were to take a list of things that we want to move away from, I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be depressed. I know none of us want any of this, but which one do you want to avoid the most? Like if you were to pick between rejection and failure, fascinating question, huh? What would you pick? You have to choose one. Somebody's pointing a gun at you and saying, you have to pick one. Either rejection or failure. What would you pick? Failure or anger? What would you pick? Loneliness or depression? You have to pick one. Which one do you pick? And I'm not designing this for you. You already have a pre-built design in you. We are redesigning it. We are going to unlearn this and redesign this. So how do you find out your shadow values? By asking the simple question, what do I want to avoid the most in blank? What do I want to avoid the most in blank? In life, you ask a question, what do I want to avoid the most in life? Is it failure? Or is it something else? You don't need to use the examples that I give you. Find your example. Find what you want to avoid the most. Now that we handle your shadows, these values start to shift a little bit. It start to play a little bit, start to wiggle a little bit. That's why we get into this conversation right away. And what do you want to avoid the most in business? This is really important. This will decide what you will do in your business or what you will not do in your business. What do you want to avoid the most? Oftentimes, if you want to grow your business to the next level, answer to this question is going to give you a lot of insight as to why you're not able to scale your business. What do you want to avoid the most in your business? Now, speed of implementation. Instead of 5 minutes, we're going to do only 3 minutes this time, but it's going to be easy. Find your top 3 soul values and shadow values for your business and life using the questions below. I'm going to give 5 minutes. I changed my mind. You need at least 5 minutes to do this. Okay. So how do you do this? What is most important in example, life or business? And do the same thing. So find out what are the 3 important things in your business? What are the 3 most important values in life? And what are the 3 most important things that you want to avoid in life? And what are the 3 most important things that you want to avoid in business? And you don't need to think too much about it. It's just 5 minutes, cap it to 5 minutes. Whatever your mind says, that's it. Like life, these are the things that I want to get. Business, these are the things I want to get. Life, these are the things that I want to avoid. And then order them in order of priority. For example, rejection and failure and depression are the things that you want to avoid. Which one do you want to avoid the most? And what's the number? Maybe 10. So rejection is 10, failure is 7, and loneliness is 6. The final part of this session, I'm going to talk about recipes. This is very simple. This is fun stuff that people love from our seminars. So think about recipe. Like, how do you boil egg? This is one recipe that I know in terms of cooking. I'm a master boiler of eggs. Right? So just put that in a pan and then heat it for 15 minutes, and then your egg is boiled. It's a simple recipe. It's a simple recipe, right? It's very simple and something that is very, very good for a person like me. Now, for each of these values, like imagine this shadow value that you want to avoid, there is a recipe that you have in your head. Is it a simple recipe? Or is it a complex recipe like making butter chicken? If it's very complex to make butter chicken, like, you have to have chicken and cook it, and then, at least for me, it's very complex. And then you have to do all kind of stuff like this and put butter. I don't know when they put butter, but it's a very complex recipe. So is it easy for you to feel this, shadow value like this? Or is it complex for you to feel this shadow value like this? That decides if you're going to feel that emotion, if you're going to feel that state of mind most of the time. If it's easy for you to reject you, if it's like boiling your egg, if it's that easy to reject you, then you're going to feel rejected a lot. Here's an insight that got to me recently. Somebody rejecting you is somebody acknowledging your shadows. They're looking at your shadows and saying, oh, you are this. And you're agreeing with them. You're like, oh yeah, I agree. I suck. That's what rejection is. I feel like I'm a failure in my shadows, and somebody's telling me, oh, you're a failure. And you, because it's shadow, you kind of closed it off. But now this person is telling you, and you're agreeing with this person that, oh, I'm a failure. Thank you for saying that in a deeper level and getting angry or whatever. But essentially, you're unconsciously agreeing with the person about your shadow. That's what rejection is. So if rejection is easy like this, like a boiling cake, a boiling egg, then you're going to feel rejected a lot. If failure easy like this, then you're going to fail a lot, because it's only thing that matters is how you perceive what is happening right now, what is happening to that experience. You will convert that into a curse story easily because you have made the recipe very simple for you. So that's what the recipe is. If you understand the concept of recipe, put somewhere in the chat, like it's very simple. I'm trying to make it very simple for you. Now, same thing, the yellow thing that you're seeing here, the yellow triangle is the recipe. That's how you know you hit the target. Like success. How do I know whether I'm successful? That's a question. And the answer to that question is the recipe. Same thing, failure, like in this case, victory, right? How do I know I'm victorious? By checking on the recipe. So we have an unconscious recipe that culturally we got it from mom, teachers, culture, religion, wherever. It's all good, but it might not be the recipe that you want at this point. So how do you find your recipe? By asking a question. What should happen in order for me to feel this value? So if it's success, what should happen in order for me to feel successful? If it's failure, what should happen in order for me to feel failure? If it's joy, what should happen in order for me to feel joyful or depressed? Right? So I'll give you an example. A person who's doing an 8-figure business came to one of my accelerator seminars one time, and I asked him, what is most important for you? And eventually he said, success is the most important thing. And mostly for business people, that could be one of the top 3 values, soul values, right? So I asked him, okay, success is really important. Okay, got it. What do you need in order for you to be successful? And he said, and I would never feel successful, because until I die, I'm not going to feel successful. Because every time I'm working on a bigger project, every time I'll be growing my business. Right now it's 8 figures. I'm doing more than $10 million. Those who don't know what 8 figures business is, between 10 million to 100 million. And then when I reach 100 million, my goal is to grow into a $1 billion company. And then continue growing so much more project, another company, and then I would continue doing that. I would never feel successful. Because if I feel successful, God forbid I feel successful, then I would not be driven anymore. So you are saying you want to feel like a failure for your freaking life, the entire life? So you could make a few $1 billion? So you could torture yourself, you feel like a failure, entire life, so you could make some money? So that was his recipe. You get the point. Same thing with me. In order for me to feel successful, I had to abandon everything. In order for me to feel spiritual, I had to abandon everything. Not, I wouldn't buy expensive clothes. In fact, I wouldn't even buy clothes. I would have only like two in India, there's something called kadar, which is basically like it's very cheap cloth. Like you could actually get for $1. Like imagine like you're getting like your clothes from dollar shop here in the US or the western side of the world, like the cheap cloth. And I would wear only that. And I had 2 pairs of that. And I would wash it every day and reuse it. And the buttons of my shirt would be like almost gone. And then like when I walk by, when there's a wind, my shirt will open, right? Because for me, giving up everything was considered spirituality. That was everything. Giving up everything, giving up pleasure in food, giving up pleasure in music, pleasure in everything, giving up every art, no sugar, no food, not enough food for sure, and no clothes, no luxury, nothing. That was my recipe. Like, do you think I could be spiritual based on that? No. That was my conditioned mind. Thinking that, oh, this one thing, if I just move towards the top and become spiritual, move to one extreme, then I would be successful. That's not it. Truth is generally in the middle, like towards your heart and towards your gut. So what is your recipe for your highest? So find your top, and in this final session, like find your top soul value, which you already know, and so shadow value. Like if you numbered them in priority, if not, do it right now. What is the most important soul value and shadow value? And discover the recipe for it by asking the simple question below. What should happen in order for me to feel successful? Spirituality is most important. Contributing. What should happen in order for me to feel blank? Do it now. Now, look one more thing. This is really important. Look for obvious alignments and obvious conflicts. For example, if you want to be really successful, and that is the most important soul value for you, and the most important shadow value for you is rejection, do you think you will be successful? Because you want to be successful, but you're going to be rejected. Somebody is going to reject you. Whether you feel it or not, somebody is going to intentionally, they will say no to you. Do you think you could handle that? So that is one level of conflict. Now, look for one more level of conflict, which is look at your recipe for success and look at your recipe for rejection and to see, are they contradicting each other? Or are they in alignment? And at this time, just look into that, bring that to awareness, bring to that to awareness, and even finding that value, that soul value itself will take you to the next level. Finding that shadow value itself is going to take you to the next level. And bring your questions to Friday on this, and I would be happy to realign your values, because if I just take your rejection and pull it to the bottom, if I help you do that, then you would be significantly successful in business. If I were to switch between your success and your love, then all of a sudden you become a loving being. Success becomes a secondary thing. When I say you could do that. You could actually do that, because you didn't design this. You didn't start down one day when you were like 21 years old. Oh, it's time to realign my values, the soul values and the shadow values. That didn't happen. It just happened. You just started sitting like that. Like you just started living your life, and then your parents, friends, your teachers, you went to a certain group of friends, and they either rejected you or accepted you based on their values. Your parents accepted you or rejected you based on their values. Your priest accepted or rejected you based on their values. So it's time to evaluate and look into those conflicts. So write down, finally, in the last 30 seconds, find your top soul value, top shadow value, and look at the recipe. This is the best 1000x, 2000x value investment of your time. Oh my gosh, if you look at this, this is going to give you deep insight into who you are and what you want and what you are looking for the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Now, like if you want to be an overachiever, not right now, go back home, stay in home if you're at home, and now look at the second important soul value and the third important soul value, and write the recipe and recipes for that too. And then find the second shadow value and the third shadow value, and then write the recipe or recipes for that too. And look into all of the 6 of them, and then see the conflicts in the journey. And if there is any conflict, consciously resolve them. And I'll be happy to do interventions for you if you see a major conflict. I bring in anything like personal, business, anything. I'd love to handle that for you. Finally, how can you improve your power ceremony based on this new understanding, right? And when you are in this, you become the painter. There was a painting, there was a canvas, there was a painting, and then there is you. You become the painter. You become aligned in one more level depth. And then your Ferrari is going to go on 265 miles per hour. You, the Ferrari, is going to go in 265 miles per hour. You are worth that $3 million or more. And then your painting, the rest of the side, the right side of your painting is going to be completed the way you want to paint, because you are the painter. You get to decide each moment what you want to paint on the right side of my life. Every moment of your life has the right side of your painting empty. Until you finish painting, you haven't finished painting, because you are the one who's painting. Until you reach your destination, you haven't finished your painting. But you're going to enjoy success as you are building it. So you create your recipe for success simple enough, so you are going to experience success as you are succeeding and getting deeper into advanced levels of success.